Why hello there and welcome to my continuing coverage of Zine Month 2K24. As I have been doing for the last few years, I am going through all of the Zine Quest and Tabletop Nonstop, just the general Zine Month projects, and picking out a handful, 5 usually, to feature in a video for each week of the event. One such video you are watching right now. So, without further ado, here are my 5 picks for week 1 of Zine Quest, Zine Month, whatever, 2K24. Starting with Field Agent's Handbooks, Observancy Department, 1924 through 28, which is a thing that is very different, and as you may have noticed, I like things that are very different. And this is a thing that could be best described as a solo LARP. And this game takes the form of a series of field agent handbooks for a organization, and you take them and go out and make observations on topics such as the potential animal revolution or attempts to understand plant speech. So it is a very interesting thing. Like, I'm doing a really bad job of explaining this one. And another interesting thing is the actual mechanics involved use a pendulum and dowsing table. So, a game that uses the power of pendulum dowsing in order to locate things or answer questions. A thing that it should not be surprising that I just had on hand to use in this video. So overall, I think this is a pretty neat little experience and a fairly unique kind of thing where play in the game involves literally going out and just observing stuff and then doing some little mechanics, but then also making notes of your observations in an observation book, which is the field guide that the thing is about. There are layers to this one, and it is a thing that is very difficult to describe. It's kind of like a one-player ARG that you play in the real world, in your real life, but it's still a game that is part of an alternate reality. And next up, Be Kind Rewind, which is a honestly fairly unremarkable solo card-based journaling game. The big thing here that is actually notable is the fact that it is based around a trip to the video store, a thing that, for someone such as myself, who still has a small stash of blue polo shirts hanging around somewhere, is a very special kind of nostalgic. And also, the PDF is $1, so very little investment on this one. And then next up, Ritual Magic for Besties, which is a tarot-based game about a group of magic users getting together to perform some kind of ritual as besties. Admittedly, on this one, the campaign is a little non-specific about the actual mechanics involved in the game, but it is one of those things that just sounds like it's more of a fun game to play while hanging out with your friends, because these are all games, and games are supposed to be fun. That's kind of the point of them, just in general. Also, Ratwave Gamehouse is a publisher that just, in general, I do trust to put out interesting products. And now, Soar, a biopunk and body horror bio-titan battler TTRPG. That is a long subtitle. And this is another solo game. There seem to be a lot of solo games this year, which, it's not a bad thing or a good thing. It's just a neutral thing. There are trends in gaming. It's a thing that happens, and I would much rather see a big boom in solo games than a continuing boom in incredibly generic 5th edition supplements. And this is a combination point crawl for exploration and grid-based system for fighting the Bio-Titans, which are basically like the Colossi from Shadow of the Colossus, but I guess fleshier. And honestly, That itself probably has enough interesting aspects to it to get it a spot on this list, but the thing that really caught my attention is the setting, which could be best described as fleshcore. Basically, there's just a lot of mention of veins and flesh and scabs, and just the whole setting is very flesh-oriented, which is kind of gross, but then also kind of neat in the way that it's neat because it is gross. Also, a lot of the art that's been shown so far looks very early 2000s in the best way possible. So, very reminiscent of like a fleshy PS2 controller. A thing that I actually do own, but have not been able to find for the last 2 videos in which I referenced it. And this is also, unsurprisingly, the recipient of this video's golden flump for my favorite project of this particular group of projects. Also, I kind of forgot to award a golden flump in the day 1 picks videos, so I don't know, let's just say Death Game is that video's golden flump. And finally, Beneath the Sewers, which is one of those games that I do not 100% understand what it is exactly, which is always a thing that I like to see. When it's because of interesting concepts, not because it's poorly explained. And this is another solo game, this one in a pamphlet format, where you lead a group of mice through a sewer pipe to escape a series of mechanical tentacles. So yeah, another kind of weird one. And once again, the campaign is not incredibly specific on how the actual mechanics of the game work, but of what they have shown, it seems like there is some kind of interesting tactical strategy involved in leading the mice through the sewer pipes, which looks like it could be fun, or at the very least, interesting. And this one is also cheap, only $2, so it might be worth that just to check it out. And of course, I must once again remind you of Dinosaur Erotica, the role-playing game. A game of absurd romance for 2 players, or more if that's what you're into. Coming soon to a Zine quest near you. There is, of course, a link to the pre-launch page so you can follow along in the description, as well as links to all of the other campaigns discussed in this video. And that's it for this video. I will be back next week looking at some campaigns from the second week of Zine Month 2K24. And thank you for watching, with extra special thanks to my Fightin' Flail Snails, Broken Unicorn, Randy Mulholland, and Toshi Rokuro. If you'd like to be cool like them, check out my Patreon, where you can get early access to videos and fun stuff that I make for the Patreon. But if you don't want to do that, that's cool too. You can still hit all the lovely buttons, like, subscribe, these other videos floating around screen that either myself or the cold, heartless YouTube algorithm have lovingly selected for you, which I'm sure are lovely videos that you will also enjoy. And I will see you next time.